Well, hello, everyone. Hello, hello. So great to see you. My goodness, is anyone watching March Madness? I don't know why I'm wearing my Notre Dame, but yeah, after this, I'm going to go watch all the games, you guys. Tell me where you are tuning in from, what grade level you are representing tonight. I'm assuming most of you are representing juniors class of 2026, but we often get, freshmen in here as well. So type into the comments if you can, just so I can kind of see who's in the house. Hello, everyone. If you are new to my world, my name is Dr. Cynthia Coulon, and I have been in the college admission industry for well over 20 years, probably going on 3 decades now. So I'll just share a little bit about my background while you guys are getting settled in. I am from California. I'm a daughter of an immigrant mom who she had the desire to go to college, but wasn't really encouraged by her own family. So she wanted to make that real for her daughters. And so we grew up in a household where mom said, college was when you go, not if you go. But I didn't know how to get started, and she didn't know how to help me. So she had the courage to ask for help, found someone that could give us help, and thank goodness she held on to that business card because senior year I was paralyzed, and so she drove me up the 110 freeway and went to see Mr. Raul Vargas, and basically we followed exactly what he told us to do, and told her how to apply for financial aid and what she would need to do, and we just followed the plan. So again, I think many times families are here because they're looking for the same thing, just like my mom was sort of looking for answers and help for her firstborn, myself. And so there you have it. So I like to think of myself as sort of the Mr. Vargas for others, and just passing it forward. So I'll share with you tonight several things. Specifically, we're talking about demonstrated interest. And just to lean in, I'm not sure if you know, and you're welcome to type in the chat. Let me know if you even know that colleges track, many colleges, not every college, but many colleges track everything now. They can track how often you're clicking your emails. Just they're tracking their what's called demonstrated interest. So if you're not familiar with that term, or you kind of are, and you just want some more sort of reinforcements as to what to do, then this is the place to be. Okay, so let's see. All right, junior from LA, Seattle for my son. He graduates in 2027. Fantastic. Okay. Hi, Emily. Hi, Lori. Hi, Lori. Lori, I've seen you here before. Yay. Okay, good. All right, great. Now, Emily, I have to ask you. I'm assuming you mean LA like Los Angeles, but it's funny because my sister's in town and she's from Louisiana. And I don't know how at some point I put two and two together, like Louisiana is LA. So I imagine you mean Los Angeles. So but if you don't, please let me know. Okay, so if you're just hopping on, hello everyone. I'm Dr. Cynthia Coulon. Been in the business for well over 20 years, and I just like to help people because I learned pretty quickly when I worked at Vassar that many students and families across the country just don't have the information they need. So tonight we're talking about demonstrated interest. Now I will tell you that tonight is a bit of an informal night. So we alternate, just so you know, every other Thursday. We're always 4 o'clock on Thursday, 6 o'clock on Wednesday, and I mean Pacific time. Okay, so wherever time it is right now. So it's the same time every Wednesday and Thursday, but on the Thursday we alternate. So this is my informal night where I just like to talk about other topics that I think you need to know. So that's the tonight demonstrate interest, and then the opposite Thursday, I talk about the 4 questions every admission officer asks before deciding who to admit or reject. So it's a pretty standard presentation. It's our master class. So that's every other Thursday. So that if you haven't seen that, everyone sort of it's like what college admissions 101, and then these are the more elevated topics. Okay, make sense? All right, guys. Yes, Los Angeles. No, you're all good, Emily. I mean, everybody who's from Los Angeles thinks that LA means Los Angeles. I mean, let's be real, right? Until you know someone from Louisiana. So, okay. Again, this is informal. My background is that I worked in college admissions at Vassar College many years ago. And then after that, so I became the director of college counseling at a private girls' school here in Los Angeles. The name of it is Marymount High School. Why that matters is because Marymount is one of 1,300 private independent schools across the country. There's a very, very few. And private independent schools have more resources. They have a high tuition. Right now, probably it's somewhere between 35,000 and 80,000 to attend a private independent school. Some of that is boarding if you're on the higher end. But in Los Angeles, it's like between 45 and 60,000. In New York City, it's about 50 to 70,000. I say that not to impress you. I say it to impress upon you sort of the background and the sort of my eyes opened wide when I worked at Vassar in admissions and saw what we did on the back end and learned sort of behind the scenes secrets, and also working at a place like Marymount, all the things that we had access to and that we would teach our students how to do. So that's where I'm coming from and bringing that to you and many years of experience. Okay. All right, so hopefully you're in the right place, you guys, and you're welcome to type the number 1 in the chat and let me know, like, yes, okay, this is like you're in the right place, like you're here, you're with me. Okay, hi Grace, San Francisco Junior, fantastic. Okay, excellent. All right, so let's start. I have some notes here. These are literally my notes, like on my little whiteboard here. So first I want to start by saying that what is it, how colleges track it, and is it important to every college? So what is demonstrated interest? I'm going to start by giving you this one quote that a good colleague of mine said, and I never forget it. So tattoo to your brain. The first time a college hears from you, meaning your child, should not be when you hit submit. Okay, let me say that again so it really sinks in. The first time a college hears from you should not be when you hit submit on your application. Okay, so wow, like when you really understand what that means, here's what it means. Like, so they're tracking demonstrated interest because I'll give you a little history lesson. Okay, U.S. News and World Report. I know you're all familiar with that. Came out in the mid to late 80s. And before that, there was no college rankings, right? And let's be real, we all love a good ranking list, even back then and even now, right? Who doesn't look at the top 10, trending on Netflix and to go see what you want to watch, right? So we all love a good list. And so once that happened, the college admission, it became an industry, okay, slowly but surely. And colleges who were mostly on the East Coast colleges, Ivy League, et cetera, started to recruit across the country and sort of vice versa, right? So because there was a desire to be at the top of that list. Why? Because parents like you and, were paying attention and wanted to, oh, well, that must mean prestige. So over time, since then, I mean, not right away, but over time, there have been different things that colleges can do or are doing to help manipulate the system so that they can climb higher to the ranks. And then once you're there at the top of the ranks, meaning like the top, once you make top 300, top 100, top 50, and then so on, you do anything you can to stay there. Okay. All right. So that I just want to give you that sort of bigger history lesson. Okay. I also want you to really understand that colleges are like people. Okay, what? Dr. C, what are you talking about? Yes. So just to give you an example, like, I don't know about you parents, but at some point and I'm not a mom, God didn't bless me with children of my own, but I have a number of nephews and one biological niece, and she's 11. And I can already tell, like, she's still when you're like, oh, they're starting to forget about me, right? And you feel a little neglected. Okay, the same thing is true for colleges. I know this sounds completely wild and crazy, but no college wants to be like the second choice. Nobody wants to be a bridesmaid. They all want to be the bride. So it's the same thing. Like, just as much as you want them to want you, they want you to want them. So I know it sounds a little crazy, but it's completely true. So you want to, call grandma every once in a while. Like it's good for you, right? Grandma's going to send you that little money in the mail. But you got to, keep, giving the call. So sort of, I just want you to think, how can I treat the colleges like a person I care about, right? So keep that in mind. Okay, let's look. So demonstrated interest is showing them that you are interested. And there's a number of ways to do that. I'll break down some strategies for you. Now, they're going to track it by how often you open the emails that they send you, right? So you should be on their email list. It's going to be one of my little hot tips, but there you go. Spoiler alert. They're going to track it by your social media. They're going to track it by, did you sign up for things? Are you on their email list? Are you engaging? Are you coming to college fairs? What are you doing? So they're going to track different things. Okay. Back when I worked at Vassar, I'm going to tell you right now that we would travel in the fall. Gosh, I would probably travel about 8 to 9 weeks of the fall. Is that right? Yeah. Visiting all the states I was in charge of. I was in charge of all of California, all of Florida, half of Texas, North and South Dakota, Minnesota, and Kansas. And I would meet students all over, right? Through college fairs, at their schools, I was just recruiting. I was a salesperson for Vassar, right? And you'd be surprised, but there were a few students who wrote handwritten notes. Now it would be email, but some would write emails, but some would write a handwritten note. Those notes, you guys, were placed in the student's file. So when I would open a file, now again, it's all online, but when I would open the file, the first thing on top of the file I would see was that note. Okay. So the ladies who opened all the mail, they would put it in there. Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, I think they would make a copy and they would give it to me. So I would see when it came in, but they would also put the original in there. Now I'm going to tell you right away. Oh, did that make me feel so good? I was like, because I would read it, and basically the gist of the email was, "Thank you so much. I'm so glad you were in my hometown. I got to meet you and they would remind me where they met me at their school or at a fair or at a presentation at a hotel, wherever. And they would reinforce that I had reinforced their decision to want to apply to Vassar. That made me feel good. It means, okay, so now I want to find a way to try and admit this person, right? Just it's human nature. It's not that I could always admit them if they were not admissible, really, but if I could, I wanted to. And remember, there are more qualified applicants than there are spaces for. Okay, so that's just an anecdote, so you can understand and sort of from the college perspective why it's important and why it's important to the college. Now, you're going to ask, does every college do this? The answer is no. Okay. Some care a lot, and it's not a secret. Tulane puts a lot of weight in there. University of Chicago puts a lot of weight in there. I think Johns Hopkins is known for that as well. So there's several schools that are known for it. Now, the Ivies don't care. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't even think you can find who your person is and who's reading your application. I will sometimes know who that is because those are my friends, but the Ivies don't care. I will never. So here's a little tip for you. I went to visit Princeton. I took my nephew this is years ago now. And we went to Princeton. I had signed up, registered officially for the tour, whatever time we were going to be there. And I was like, okay. So I got there and I did what I would tell my students to do. I went to the counter and the receptionist and checked in because I wanted to get credit. I always tell students, you're getting a gold star every time you do something or go somewhere or go to a webinar or live on campus. It's like you're putting a gold star next to your name. Oh, gold star. Oh, so I wanted that gold star. I was like, okay, mark it down. I came, demonstrated interest. And they didn't even take my name. They didn't even check me in, nothing. They told myself and my nephew that, oh, you can have a seat anywhere. We're gonna get started in about 5 minutes. So the Ivies really don't care. Now, I'm not sure if that literally is the truth for every single Ivy, meaning that they don't check you in. But I do know that they're not spending their time checking demonstrated interest. Okay, let's just put it that way. All right, let's go to my notes here. Feel free to ask questions in the chat. No worries. Okay, So why does it matter to the colleges and to you? So I'm going to break this down a little bit more and give you some vocabulary that, in case you don't know, I'll explain. Okay. So for there are a couple of numbers. Most families know the number or the vocabulary term admissions rate, the acceptance rate. So what is the acceptance rate for any particular institution? So sometimes it's below 5%, below 10%, below 20%, below 30%, and for some colleges, most colleges, it's above 50%. Okay. So the term acceptance rate. Okay. You may not be familiar or as familiar with the term yield rate. Okay. And then there's the matriculation rate. Okay. So there is the acceptance rate. So for every 100 applications, how many does a college admit? Okay. And that's the number, acceptance rate. So if the acceptance rate is 50%, then for every 100, they admit 50. For Harvard, it's like, 5. It's actually less than 5. So, for every 100, they admit 5. Okay. The name of the game on the college side is to try and figure out how many do I need to admit in order to yield the number I want. Let me say that again. Okay. I know that I want to bring in a freshman class, to use round numbers, a freshman class of 100. Okay. I have 10,000 applications. Okay. Now, do I need to admit 5,000? Do I need to, I said that wrong. I want to bring in a freshman class of 1,000, not 100. That would be like, that's super low. I want to bring in a freshman class of 1,000. Some colleges need to admit 5,000 to get 1,000 to say yes. Okay. So that would be a 50% acceptance rate. Okay. Some colleges need to admit 40%, 4,000 to get 1,000. Okay. Okay. If you're Harvard, you admit under 2,000 to get like 1,850 to say yes, right? Like almost nobody says no. So the goal or in the thinking is the college admissions business is if I can predetermine who's going to say yes, and I choose those students that are more likely to say yes, then my yield rate goes up, which means my acceptance rate can go down. Okay. Let me let that sink in. You guys feel free to ask questions along the way. So much. So, hey, Carolyn. All right. So if this is new vocabulary for you, let me just say that one more time. If I can become really good at predicting who in my pool is going to say yes, then I would rather admit them so that my yield rate goes up and my acceptance rate can go down. Okay. All right. So in the age of US News and World Report and college rankings, that has been what's happened. Okay. So many colleges, many, not all, have used this to their advantage. So they use early decision. They use a number of things. They use early decision and early action programs to help drive their enrollment up at the front end so that they can, figure out the back end. But the front end, if I admit 50% of my class before Christmas, for the holidays, then I'm going to have, that's a good yield rate. A yield rate for early decision is 100%. For every kid they admit, it's a 1-to-1 yes. You sign an agreement saying yes. So that's one strategy that the colleges use. Okay. You follow? Okay. Type in the chat the number 1 if you follow, because this is a topic I love to talk about, but it's a doozy. Type in the chat the number 1 if like you got it, and type in the chat a question, or the number 2 if you're like, I'm still confused. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Okay, good. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Jacqueline. Anne-Marie. Ooh, Anne-Marie, that's a new name I haven't seen. Hi, Anne-Marie. Okay, good. You're with me. Okay, fantastic. Now, for the student, in many ways, so here's nothing to tattoo to your brain. This is something that there are 3 decisions in college admissions: where you apply, where you get admitted, and where you attend. Okay. the student is in charge of two of those, 2/3 of the decision. So you're actually in control. I mean, colleges are actually actively spending dollars, lots of dollars, marketing to try and convince as many people to apply to their college, right? Because the more applications they get, the fewer they can admit. It's a whole game, right? So for the student, this is an opportunity for you to say, "Hi, like you're my first choice. You're my first choice." Now, I think this has gone so far that there's a lot of students out there who are, telling every college that they're their first choice. And quite frankly, I don't blame them. I mean, the game is set up for students to sort of sometimes start to do that. Okay. So from the student perspective, this is a way for you to demonstrate your interest and say, this is really my first choice. So early decision programs are in your favor. If you've decided this is my first choice, that's usually going to be your best bet in terms of like getting admitted. Is my camera crooked? Okay, so it's a benefit on both ends if that's truly your first choice. Okay, so just think of it as a benefit to you. Okay, I myself personally, I think early decision will go away one day, and I don't think anytime soon, but I think it's going to go away because it's too crazy. It really, if you need to wait for financial aid, you can't apply. It favors the wealthy and the resourced and the savvy. And what teenager knows exactly what they want by, November 1st of their senior year. Okay, so I digress. Okay, those are my opinions. Now, okay, why it matters to you. Okay. I started by sharing the story of back when I worked in admissions when students were still writing thank you notes. By the way, I tell my VIP clients, like, write a thank you note, like that'll shock the heck out of them. We would keep those notes and would be in the file folder right when I opened up the folder and I started reading it. And it made me feel good, right? So if you missed the very, very beginning, I started by saying, you want to treat colleges like people. And like your grandma, you got to call grandma every so often, so she won't forget you, and that she sent her little cash or whatever every so often, right? So you got to put in the time and let the people that you love let them know. So don't forget them. Okay. Same thing with colleges. Okay. So when I would see that note, I would really want to try and find a way to admit them if I could. Okay, so that's just a reminder. Keep top of mind. You're trying to keep top of mind of your reader. Okay, all right. So I'm going to give you 7 quick tips, and then I'll be able to answer some questions because I think you just want to maybe that's the best thing to do. Okay. All right. So here's 7 things I wrote. I started to get 5 because I think that it says that I'm going to give you 5, but I found 7, and actually there's many more. So the first thing I'm going to say is you want to get an email. If you don't have a separate college email, a separate email just for college stuff, I would start with that. That's almost the first thing I tell our campers and our private clients. Like, just get something that by the time that they graduate from high school, you can just delete all of it because there will be a lot of love mail that comes in your mail. So if you don't have that, go ahead and I would do that now. Okay. Hot tip number 1. You're just going to write these down. Again, this is informal today. Visit the campuses. You don't have to physically visit, but you can sign up for a webinar. You can sign up for some event that they have online. But I would, if I were you, my biggest suggestion is to find local colleges in a 25, maybe a 50-mile radius, just depending on where you live, and go start to visit, like, again, in person. It doesn't have to be a college that you think that you're going to definitely apply to. When I say you, I mean your student, your kid. But you want to get a feel for different colleges. So get in the habit of treating colleges like national parks. And when you're in another city, or you're traveling for business or whatever you can do on the weekend, you don't have to do a formal thing, but like go on the weekend and do a tour. Now, let me back up, because if you're in a part of our programs, I will often say, do a speed date first before you do a lunch and a dinner date. Like, no need to like introduce them to the parents like right away. So I also am much about being efficient with your time. I don't recommend flying everywhere all over the place. I don't recommend spending an hour long webinar for 50 colleges. I do recommend investigating 50 colleges. Yeah, I know. No joke. But I do that. And with our VIPs, I'll say, okay, I'm going to teach you a 5 to 6 minute speed date exercise. And we're going to just sort of knocks them out. And then right away, you're going to know through your gut, like which ones stand out. Not. Once you've narrowed it down to like 25 or less, then you can say, okay, let me go to do the lunch dates or the dinner dates. Okay. The lunch date is like online something, and a dinner date is like going to visit the parents. Okay. All right. I know sports metaphors and dating metaphors is the only thing I know. Okay. So visit. 2, open your emails. Okay. Parents, this is really where you can be helpful. There is a deluge of emails that you're going to get, starting. And if you took the PSAT, colleges purchase names from the College Board. That's why you start getting emails and mail and all this stuff. So one of the big things, parents like to be helpful in this process. And they're also maybe some of the nervous Nellies, and they just want, you want to know what's going on. So make that your job. That's why I say get a kind of a family email. That's just like college stuff. So you don't feel like you're invading anybody's privacy, and they're not in your email, and your kid is not in your email, and you're not in your kid's email. And it's also separate from school. So while you're doing something else, like today I was like cleaning up the kitchen or whatever, like I always have like a podcast on, or I'm doing something else simultaneously. So open an email from the colleges, open the emails, click on an email, click on a link, open the browser, let it run for a little bit, like just be engaging and active. Okay. So that's one big way that parents can be helpful. So open the emails. Okay. Number 3, which is more for the students, but it could be for both. Again, you can get a social media account that is like kind of just for this, but you want to engage in their social media. So again, when you narrow it down like to 25 or fewer, and then you narrow it down again, you're probably going to pick somewhere between 8 and 10 colleges that you're going to like really actively be involved in. Like go find TCU's social media accounts and click and like, and all of these things, open the emails, etc. So, okay. Visit was number 1, visiting, but I say speed date, then which is like a coffee date, then lunch, then dinner. Open your emails. Number 3, social media. Number 4, college fairs. So, I'm not sure. I feel like we used to do a lot more of college fairs, but maybe I'm wrong. They still exist. I think you can do them online as well. But look for your local college fairs. A lot of schools have them. If you have a big school, a lot of schools have them, but they're also run locally as well. I know in Los Angeles they do a big WACAC, NACAC fair, and so big college fairs. So you can go. Now go up to the booth. Here's a pro tip. Whenever you go to a college fair, especially in your local area, high chances that the person literally at the booth is the person that is going to be reading your application. When I was visiting California, and it's in the states I said that I recruited from, Texas, Florida, California, etc. And I remember being in Minnesota. Anybody who came up to me in Minnesota, I was like, oh my God, who knows Vassar of Minnesota? Yay. You come up to me and say hello and introduce yourself. Like chances are I'm going to remember you just because you were like one of the 10 people who came. Okay. So go up to the person, say hello, ask for a business card, or scan the QR code or whatever. Follow up. Oh my God, it was so great to meet you at such and such fair. My God, you guys, it's going to go a long way. Okay. Again, pro tip, that person is probably reading your application and deciding. Okay. That's number 4. Number 5. Number 5 is that you can apply early action or early decision. Early decision programs have the highest return on investment, meaning because it's a 1-to-1 yield, 100% yield. That's, if you're going to have a chance of getting admitted to your dream college and it has early decision, I would do it. If you, in fact, know for sure that is your number 1 choice, you would go there in a heartbeat if they admitted you today. So I definitely would recommend that. So that's another way to do it. Early action is also a good option as well. It's just not as strong as the early decision for obvious reasons. So that's my tip number 5. Tip number 6 is, this is a good one. The why us essay. It's got to be good, you guys. And if it's your first choice, or if it's one of your first choices, or if you've been to visit, even if you did just a speed date, like I teach a speed date with coffee date, or you did something online or whatever engagement you did, or someone like, oh my gosh, my best friend, who graduated last year, like goes to the school there, and I love that, or my favorite teacher or whatever. So think about what is something that really is true and authentic to you, and that can really drive home the point as to why you're choosing, of every school of the almost 3,000 four-year colleges in the country, why are you applying to that college, right? You narrowed it down to 10, 12, right? It's a very small number in comparison to how many exist. So your why us, and I talk about this in another video, but your why us has to be super, super strong. And it cannot be generic. So there's many, many traps to falling into making it too generic. So the why us is super important. Okay. That's tip number 6. Okay. Tip number 7. This is my favorite one, but there's different advice on this. Anyway, tip number 7 is, I think, a pro tip, because I've been on both sides of the desk. Ask your rep. So I just told you how you can find out who your rep is. Okay. Well, one way, right? If you go to a college fair, chances are that's the person. If a college visits your high school, that person is the person reading your application. So if you find out, I'll tell you how to find out who it is. If you find out who your representative is, and that you can get an email, and many colleges do. Like I was working with a student this year, and TCU and SMU, Baylor, uh, all 3 of them had their easy access to their email, and 2 of the 3 of them gave their link to their Calendly. Would you like to make an appointment with me and meet me in person? Yes, the answer is yes. Yes, because most people won't do that. So asking the tip number 7, sorry, I was kind of dancing around it, but tip number 7 is engage with your representative, the person who's going to read, your admission officer. That's called your AO. So send them an email that asks an engaging question. So think of a question that you might have. So think of yourself right now, like, oh, maybe you play soccer, or maybe you are on the debate team or something like that. You can ask, like, hey, is there an intramural team at the school, that for soccer? Or hey, is there I play, and you would say, like, I do debate now, or I'm on the debate team right now, and I'm really enjoying it, and I want to continue that. What are some ways that students continue their, is there a debate team? Now, sometimes these are questions you can find out on your own, but it doesn't matter. I always say it doesn't matter. Ask the question, because it's all a matter of trying to engage and build a rapport or relationship with that person. Again, the first time the college hears from you and hears your name, sees your name, should not be when you submit the application. Okay. So these are just little tricks to do. Okay. Now, so that was tip number 7. Now, I just said I was going to tell you how to find it, how to find your counselor. So would that be helpful? What about ED2? Okay. Yeah. So yes, ED2. Now, ED2, they typically know that you probably had an ED1 choice, but you sometimes can say, I just didn't know. I wasn't ready to make a choice, or wasn't ready to make a decision. That's perfectly normal. But yes, ED2. And at Vassar, I'll just give you an example. Vassar, and I mean, a number of schools have it. A number of schools have. I'm trying to think. University of Chicago definitely uses it to their advantage. At Vassar, we knew, every college worth its weight in gold should have an idea as to where they are on the totem pole of XYZ colleges. So Vassar, we knew Brown was usually going to be your first choice, right? We're very similar. Vassar is very similar to Brown and Wesleyan and some other schools. So we didn't mind, because we knew, like, okay, it's fine. Like, if you didn't get into, if you applied early to Brown, you didn't, this is usually the story, right? If you applied early to Brown and you didn't get in, you were, denied, then we didn't mind that we were like the second choice in that case. So I think colleges, again, they're people. So colleges that have a good sense of who they are, it's not going to matter to them that you apply early decision too. The fact is you apply. So yeah, that's a good question. Okay, do you mind if I show you? Do you guys mind if I show you how to find your college counselor? I mean, your admission officer. Would that be helpful to you? Type in number 1 if, like, yeah, you want me to show you. Let me get some water. Okay, I'm going to show you anyway. Okay, let's do this. Present, share screen, share my window. Let's try this. Okay. I apologize. I'm going to use 2 California schools just because I know that it always pops up. I know it pops up. So I go like this. I do this. Find my counselor. Oh, Northeastern. Oh, we tried that the other day and it didn't give me what I wanted. Find my counselor, Chapman University. So with Chapman, and I'll do USC as well. So with Chapman, I just Googled that, and then it says enter your high school. So I always use, I don't know why, but I always use Palo Alto High School. That's not where I went to school. But oh, and then okay. It gives you a few options. Gun's a good one too. Either way, what not. Oh, okay. So we go hit search. Okay. Now I'm going to guess that if I clicked on the other one, it would have been the same person. Okay. So here's, okay, couple things here. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is so good. I love. So Kiara is her name. And if I go click on Kiara's page, now I'm going to be able to know, I'll watch this video. Now I have her email address. Here's her bio. Okay. So just do your homework, you guys. This is not hard. Like, look at all of this. So with my VIPs, I'll literally do this with them one of the days. And I'll say, okay, look, let's go find Kiara. All right. So she likes philosophy. Look at everything she loves to do, laying on the beach, eating ice cream. Just find one thing you have in common with her and lead with that in the email. Hey, Kiara. Oh my gosh. I saw that your favorite movie is Little Women. That's my favorite. Greta Gerwig is one of my favorite directors as well. My favorite is, I don't know, Barbie. What's another one that she did? Anyway, something like that. Like, just make a connection. Okay. Hey, Kiara, I saw that you majored. Does it say where she majored in? Philosophy. I don't know. I'm making this up. Philosophy and biology. So, what was that like? And how did, or I'm thinking about majoring in philosophy and, mathematics, something like that. So make a connection. Okay. So I love Chapman because they do that for you right there. Okay. Here's another one. Let's do find a counselor. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I should have probably read that. Search by school. And we're going to do the same thing. Okay, here it is. Natasha Hunter, Senior Assistant Director. Here's her email address and her phone number. Boom. Okay. So, as long as it's there for you to do something with. Most students won't do this. Okay. Most students won't email the account. They're too embarrassed or I don't know why, but they won't do it. So if you do, it just says a lot about you. Now, if I'm you, or if you are one of my clients, I would say, okay, now go get mom or dad's account in LinkedIn and go find Natasha, right? So either you can Google her. Oh, what is this? Hey, now, there you go. Okay. Now, this is interesting. Did that link from here? Did I miss it? Okay, you guys. Woo! We just discovered something. I didn't think there was a bio like there was at Chapman. It was easy. They said, here, click on Kiara's page, and boom. Well, we had to Google it. So there you go. Okay, now you can read her bio and do the same kind of little Devil Wears Prada. Oh my God, I love her. So it's one of my favorite movies. Okay, you got it? You get it? Okay, is that helpful? Yeah? No? Tell me. Talk to me, you guys. Let me know what you need me to tell you. What secrets do you need to know? Okay. Okay. I'll just type into the chat here a couple things. I can also just share a little bit about how we work with students. We work privately one on one, and we do group coaching courses as well. We take you through the entire process. We call it our Ivy Success Formula that has 3 pillars. The first pillar is the leadership. On the leadership hierarchy, I have a hierarchy chart as 1 to 5, levels 1 to 5, and Passion Project is probably level 3. But working with us, we really try to get all of our students to get to level 4 and 5. So we do inventory first as to where you are in your leadership hierarchy, where your child is. Number 2, we make sure that you're not spending 90% of your time on one essay, the main personal essay, but instead spreading out and giving due diligence to core 4 essays. And number 3 is working on figuring out a good college list that's bulletproof for you and for what you need, because there are plenty of top colleges, and the object or the goal should be choices by the end of senior year. So those are our 3 pillars, and that's what we do. Okay. All right. So does this help on the wait list, or this too late? Okay. Lori. Okay, Suzette. Oh, that's a good question. Okay, I'm going to answer both questions. Okay, so Lori, it's not too, okay, so two things. This is such a great question. So Lori's asking, is it too late to just do this? Sorry. Okay. Lori's asking, is it too late if you're on the wait list? So wait list is one of my favorite and least favorite things. So if you're asking about this year, my prediction is there'll be a lot of movement on the wait list this year. I think this is my just prediction, and I have some reasons, but last time there was a huge push off the wait list was the year of COVID. But the wait list can work if you're, reaching out to your counselor. But the truth is, just sort of the hard truth is, like, if this is like the first time you're reaching out and like, oh, I got waitlisted and now I really want to go. It could still work, but the chances are there are other students that have been sort of waiting around. I'll give you a quick example. Her name is Bridget, and she wanted to go to Boston College. She applied early decision. She was deferred. Then her mom found me. She was referred, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, you're going to do this. And I basically gave her the strategy. You're going to do this, this, and this starting now. First of all, you're going to send this in, find your person, and you're going to send an email. And I told her to send an email. I said, it can be like once a week, but probably not fewer than once a week. And if you can tolerate it, I mean, maybe every so often, like, once every like 10 days or something. She followed what I said and did what I said. And then she was waitlisted. So I thought, oh gosh, like I would just give up. I'd be like, okay, fine. You don't want me. I'm going to just move on. But she was on it. So I said, okay, well, what I'm going to tell you right now is basically every 3 days, like just email. You have nothing to lose at this point. Like if they're never going to take you, they're never going to take you. But like you want to be top of mind so that the moment something opens up, you want to be top of mind. Because what you're saying is, to use the dating metaphor again, most people who are about to ask their partner to marry them, most know with pretty much certainty they're going to say yes, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't probably ask or plan to ask and do all the things. That's the same in college admissions. Right now, and this is how I said to Bridget, I said, okay, all you need to do, the only goal you have is to be top of mind so that when something opens up, they know that of everyone they have on the wait list, right? If I'm just looking at the island in the kitchen here, like, everybody they could choose, they're like, but I know she's going to say yes. If I call her right now, she will literally wire me the money right now and say, yes, I'm in. Right? I'm 100% sure she's going to say yes. And that's what you're trying to convey. You're like, yes, pick me. I'm coming. Okay. So I do not recommend using this strategy for like 3 colleges. Okay. Mostly because I think that's unethical. That's just me. Do people do that? Probably, I'm sure. But There you go. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Let me know if I didn't. And then here was another good question here. Okay. How do our kids compose an email? So, Suzette, such a good question. Suzette, where are you from? Tell me. So that our kids come across as sincere rather than phony. Okay, first of all, Suzette, such a good question. Um, Most people, right, even when it's like flattery, right? They say flattery gets you everywhere. Um, right? If someone compliments I don't have anything cute on today. I was filming today, so I have this t-shirt. Um, Before I can think to myself, oh, they just complimented me for their benefit. Like I'm already in I'm like, oh, thank you. Yeah, you love my nails. I know. Like it's it's already passed. You've already gotten your foot in the door. So I would never worry about like coming across as phony. Um, but also doing your homework. I mean, so if you're exchanging the word for phony for like doing the homework of like going and find out like what is Kiara or what is Natasha, what was her name, Natasha? What is she like? Because if you showed up to a coffee date or a lunch date, you'd want to know something about the person, right? Otherwise, you're going to spend your time talking about yourself, which is never a good idea, and not really engaging. So you want to know something that you have in common. So start with that, meaning literally the person, but the school. Hey, like I'm on the X team right now, and I noticed that USC has an intramurals soccer team. Is there someone in the admission? Is there a student ambassador that is from Louisiana or from Seattle or from wherever you're from, Pennsylvania, that I can talk to and ask more questions? That's easy. So just think about like, this is what I do. I tell my VIPs, okay, we're going to make a list. What are some things that you have in mind? Some themes that you have in mind. So they're general themes. Think of one that you can send that has maybe a housing question. Like, I used to live in Oxford, Ohio, and they only had housing guaranteed for like 2 years or something. So every school has some different policy. So maybe it's about housing. Maybe it's about student life. Maybe it's about a specific international program that you're interested in. Maybe it's about some athletics. Now, I skipped the entire one that's should be obvious, so I don't want to assume, but one of the obvious ones is academics, right? So if you're going to send more than 6, I would like every third one to be something about academics. Okay, so just put them in buckets and think about what you want to ask, right? And it should be genuine to you, something tied to yourself that you either doing now or you aspire to do or whatever. Okay. All right. Oh, good question. Let's see. My high school counselor to get him like this. Yes. Yes. Caroline, boom. Right. Anytime there's that old saying, I don't know, you guys, I'm Gen X, like, I'm old school, but anytime I just sent out, I still do this. I didn't know I was networking when I was a kid. I didn't know that I'm just naturally that way. I like to keep in touch with a lot of people. So I'll just tell you what I did. I recently sent out, I don't know, probably 50, maybe, yeah, about 50 to 60 note cards for like in the month of February, just to people who have done me good favors. Maybe they've been like, Tim Bruno, the dean over at USC, and then over at the UCLA. People in admissions, for example, if they've done something, they showed up and they've been a guest for me, they got a note card from me and they got a box of chocolate during the month of February. Okay. Was it as an expense? Yeah, but it's a marketing expense because I know the next time I ask them, they're probably likely to say yes. Right. So, so that's just something that I just do. So I try to send note cards out to my students, to people that, just to stay top of mind. So just think of anything that you want in life usually takes something like that, some effort like that. So it's not phony and it's not disingenuous. It's just a reality of what how you stay top of mind. Okay. Did I get on the tangent? I don't know. What is an example of level 4, level 5? Oh, okay, my friend. Kentucky. Oh my God. I lived in Ohio and I went to Kentucky, right? Is it Kentucky where the Churchill Downs is? Oh, one of my favorite places on earth. going to go to the Kentucky Derby one day. Okay, Emily. Good. Okay, Caroline, should we share? Oh my gosh. This is a topic that I talk about. I go into a little bit more depth on the opposite Thursdays, right? So next Thursday we'll talk we'll give next Thursday is the formal presentation. Today is this is a topic that I. Hey, do you guys like this topic? By the way, give me a scale of 1 to 10 how if this has been helpful. And I don't have ego. Don't worry. Like if you say 7 is fine. I don't care. I do care, but I want to know if this is a topic we should expand on. Let me show you, Emily. Okay. This is probably one of our specialties. We do go through great lengths. I'll tell you what we just did too with one of our VIPs. Okay, so let me share my screen so I can show you the. Where is that window? Yeah. Okay, so in 2023, I did a TED Talk, and it's called College Admissions is Not Fair, if you wanted to look it up. And I go into some of this, but this is a much better, since then I've developed this. So at the bottom here, can you see my screen? Am I showing? Oh yeah. Okay. The level 1 is school involvement. That's 95 to 98%. You're just involved in something. Most people applying to 4-year college has something. So that's 95% or more. Then school leadership is tier 2 or level 2 on the hierarchy, level 2. And that is, you want to think selected or elected positions at school. So student body president, class president, editor-in-chief, captain of the debate team or academic decathlon or captain of a major sport on campus. Maybe the team won league or league or state champion, something like that. So school leadership, that's going to be about 15% of the pool. Then your coolness factor, coolness project. This is what I think is the closest thing. I don't use the term passion project, but I kind of was Googling the other day and trying to figure it out. It's probably what we call a coolness factor. Something you love to do, whether nobody paid you or gave you a grade for it. You just do it. You just want to do it. For me, when I was a kid, I loved college football. I would watch every Saturday. It's no wonder I do what I do now. Like, duh. Wow, the writing was on the wall. I loved all the mascots, and so I knew a bunch of colleges across the country just because from football. But that was just something I did for me. I also had a part-time job. You might speak 3 languages, learn 3 languages. You might learn an instrument, maybe multiple instruments. Club athletic team. That's a level 3. Okay. A level 4 is kind of borrowed from Girl Scout Gold Award. So write this down. I think it was Emily who asked the question, all of you. The Girl Scout Gold Award has 3 criteria. I think it actually has more criteria, but 3 main criteria is 1, you must solve a problem. 2, for a community you love. And 3, spend 80 hours or more. Okay. So an impact project is all about legacy. What legacy are you leaving behind? Okay. So what legacy are you leaving behind? And so thinking about that, I'll give you a quick example of Sienna. I used her a lot. Sienna came to us as a sophomore, and by summer before junior year, we use somebody to help place our students if we are at a loss for like what would that be. She loved kids, and she also had a sewing machine. She liked to knit, and she liked to be crafty. She said, I am not going to run for office. Like Dr. Colon, I am not going to be the student body president. But she knew she needed an impact project. So Carol Grace, who we used, listened to her. We had a meeting with her, and then she got her connected with Beads of Courage. So Sienna decided Beads of Courage, she would sew these little bead bags for kids with cancer. And those bead bags then had a personal note from Sienna inside that she had, made this bag. And those little bags were meant for to hold the beads of their milestones every time they had different treatments and stuff like that. Okay, simple. Okay, simple. Now, it would be a passion project. It would be like sort of a level 3 if she did 10 to 15 bead bags. Sienna decided, or we decided together. I said, okay, what can you commit to? over the next year, right? So those of you who are younger, you have the luxury of time. And so she committed to doing 100 bead bags over the course of like 14 months. Okay, so I don't know, whatever that average, about 8 a month. Okay, it was a commitment, but it wasn't all at once. So that is an example of a level 4. Okay, so uh, a level 3 can become a level 4. I mean, you could take something you love. A level 4 is like merging something you love to do with something you have to do is ideal, right? At the time, Sienna thought she wanted to be a pediatrician. So it made sense. This project made sense for a lot of reasons. You could say it was an impact project, but you could also say it was a little bit of tied to what she wanted to do. She ended up changing her mind, but it didn't matter. So yeah. And then an intellectual project is research, internship, things like that, things that you would sort of know, but we help you get placed. Okay, so I'll just tell you, I'll stop share, but one of our students, so one of our students wants to major in computer science, super competitive, super competitive. So we'd been like, okay, I've been working with him since he was sophomore too. And I said, what do you really love? And I, over time, obviously I knew, so he loves baseball. So we met with Carol Grace, not that long ago. I think it was maybe January. And I said, okay, Carol Grace, we're going to just tell you the dream. The dream is that he would work with a baseball team as an intern doing data analytics, for the team. She found it. She found it. So he's going to do like a 100-hour internship with the local team. Not a professional team. It's like a minor league team near in Orange County. Oh my gosh. So boom. So there you go. Okay. All right, you guys, let's see. What else do you have for me? Okay, good. Other questions? Did I miss anybody's question? Okay. All right. I have a few. If you don't mind, if you want, this is my take. This is maybe a lead in. I think that's another topic I'm scheduled to talk about on one of our informal days. Kind of my predictions for next year. But I mentioned earlier that I said that I thought there would be a lot of wait lists this year. So I'll just share a little bit of that and give you a little peek into sort of how my brain thinks. So there was a number of public flagship schools have received a high increased number of applications this year. And so I'm going to use UT Austin because that was the big one. The UT Austin, and if I'm remembering, I guess they had early action. When they did early action, the number of applications that came in had already exceeded it. Just in early action had already or close to exceeded the total number they received all of last year, and they hadn't even received their regular applications. Okay. So what happens when a school, so just to take that as a little, just a little slice of what happened this year. So one, we know that they only do 10% for out of state. Okay. So it's a fixed number. 90% are going to be Texas and 10% are going to be out of state. Okay. So we know that. But what probably happened, this is my guess, because there were only like 5 or 6 schools that until now had received over 100,000 applications, and all of those were with the UC system. The University of California system, A, has been without affirmative action for a long time. B, they've also had these kind of crazy numbers of applications for a very long time. And C, they do not do early action because they probably know, they figured out there's no way they can turn around that many decisions that quickly. So why nobody calls the UC? They don't call Gary Clark to get advice before making these crazy decisions. I don't understand. But when you are not prepared for that level of applications, you also don't know how to predict who's going to say yes and how many you need to admit to get the same number. Okay, are you following? So based on what I taught you today, you should be understanding there's an acceptance rate, and then there's a yield rate, and then there's the matriculation rate, right? So if you guess wrong as a college, you're going to be screwed. Like if you over admit and then which could lead to over enrollment. What do you do with all those students? Where do you put them? Now, I mean, I guess if you want more money, yes, but so so sometimes, many times, if anybody has a good strategy, the strategy would be to underadmit, okay, and balloon out your wait list. Because you could, if you guess wrong, you could be over, and you could, and instead of having a freshman class, I don't know what the UT, I can't remember what the UT freshman class is, but again, to use a round number, if you're trying to bring in a freshman class of 1,000 and you go over by like 25 in comparison to 1,000, okay, you can find somewhere to put those kids. But if you over enroll by 200 or 300, that's a lot of over enrollment. Okay, it causes other problems. So if you under enroll and say, okay, we're going to under enroll so that we hope to get 1,000, but if we like only get 900 or 950, like then we can go to the wait list and we'll just fill those spots on the back end. You see? Okay. So that's number one. Number two, when a college like that, which is a great college, no, I'm not meaning to disparage any, I mean, UT Austin is like no joke. But when that happens, and then if you get an inflated ego, you're like, look at all these people applied. Then you might think that more are going to say yes. When in fact, if you start to take the creme de la creme of your pool, those students are going to likely also get admitted other places and will say yes to other places. So there's a lot of reasons, and what we call the domino effect. So anyway, I don't know if this is interesting to anybody except me. I could talk about this forever. So to give you an example, I had a student who, she's an alum. She's a camper. She's a senior now. So she went through our programs last summer, and she wanted to make an appointment. So she's super happy with where she's been admitted based on, the strategies she had, and where she was not the tippy top of her class, but based on where she fell in her class and from a public school, like she did really well. But nevertheless, she has like sort of a first choice that she was waitlisted. So I just told her, she's like, well, she asked me, oh, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. She, at the very end, she says, well, how often is like too often, or how often should I, reach out? And I said, as much as you can tolerate it. I mean, if it's going to make you sick to your stomach to do it every single day, don't do it. But like, you have nothing to lose. So that's number one thing I told her. Again, most students won't do that, right? I'm not even sure I would do that. I might do it every other day, but knowing what I know now, I'm like, again, you have nothing to lose. The other thing I told her is that I gave her the example of what I just said to you. I shared it with her in a number of ways. And I said, you have to understand that even at Vassar, we would have what we call summer melt. So May 1st comes around. And so what's happening right now is every single day, just want to make sure there's still people on. Is this interesting to anybody? Yeah. Every single day. This is exactly what I told her. Name is Nikki. I said, every single day they're checking their stats. How many deposits came in today? Literally, right? So any college that has already sent out their letters of acceptance, every day they're checking how many deposits came in today. How many said yes? Against how many said yes on this date last year, meaning date, acceptance letters go out. So that's day 0. So on day 1, after like day 2, day 3, all the way to May 1st. So they're tracking every single day to see if they're on point, on higher, lower, like they're tracking the numbers, okay, every single day. So sometimes they already track, and I was in a room where the UC system was like, it was mid-April, and I can't remember who went to their wait list. One in the room, whatever it was, maybe it was UC Irvine, went to their wait list. And so the other dean was like, oh, that month, then now that's going to mean that we're going to have to go to a wait list. Okay, so what happens is, to use Vassar as an example, if Brown, by chance, it was rare, but if Brown by chance went to their wait list on May 2nd, chances were that we were then going to have an open spot, right? So the domino effect happens, okay? That's number one. Number two, once in a blue moon, I had a kid get off the wait list from UCLA in June. So it can happen all the way. So we call that summer melt. Just things happened. So you guys, based on what's happening with this administration, with our government, and just different changes, a lot of uncertainty as to who and how much people can afford to go to school, how much money colleges are going to have to be able to give out. There's so much uncertainty that there could come a time in the summer that there's more melt. So I just said to Nikki, I said, if you really want to go there, you just don't give up. You go, okay, no worries. Like May 2nd, May 15th comes around, you still haven't got off the wait list. You say, hey, and we found who her person was at the school that she wanted. I said, you just say, hey, Charlie, no worries. I'm here. I just want to let you know if someone should pull out in the middle of the year, in the middle of the summer, like I'm still ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and deposit over here because I really like the school too. But I just want you to know. And I said, you just like at that point, you just keep in touch and just remind him, because by July, the chances of the pool that's available in July to come off the wait list is very small. So, okay. Anyway, I feel like I rambled, but that's what's happening. That's how it works. Truth, nothing but the truth. That's what you get from me. Truth and nothing but the truth. Okay. All right. Yes. Good. All right, you guys. I'm gonna go watch me some basketball. It's been a long week and I've got some private clients tomorrow. So I'm gonna enjoy it tonight. All right. Hopefully, if you guys, if you're serious about getting some help, or you just have a question, or you want a strategy session, I'm happy to share with you, what we do. We just signed, oh gosh, 3 new VIP clients in the last couple of weeks, including one from South Carolina, 2 from Indiana. We have students from all over the country. So there you go. All right. All right. Tell me one thing you're going to do. Tell me one thing you're going to do. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, you're welcome. Okay. All right. See you guys next week. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific. All right. Bye, everyone. Go make it a happy day. Bye for now.